brothers and sisters. Today we celebrate the feast of the Translation of the body of St Dominic. So the Dominican order celebrates this in a special way as the moving of Dominic from his original place of resting to a new tomb, where he would be honored in fitting with his virtues of holiness and to a more public veneration of him. And this was a significant change, you could say, because unlike Francis, who was very much at the center, you could say, of the spirituality of the Franciscans in a very beautiful way, and in the living memory of the Franciscans, their veneration of their holy founder, St Dominic wasn't quite at first in such a way at the forefront of the consciousness of the early Dominicans. He was their founder, but I suppose the emphasis for the Dominicans has always been on preaching. And the order had also other huge big personalities pretty quickly in its early foundation, like St Thomas Aquinas and St Albert the Great and Blessed Humbert of Romans and Blessed Jordan of Saxony, and all these great figures of the early Dominican life. Men who were burning with this zeal and this ideal of St. Dominic to bring out of their contemplative life the fruits of that contemplative life. They're living in community, they're living in assiduous study, searching the mysteries of God in the scriptures, and really, sharing that amongst themselves, and opening the word together, and drinking deeply from their Eucharistic life in the celebration of the Mass, and in their prayer, and in their silences, their vigils of long prayer in the night, etc. They would then bring the fruits of that contact with God to the world. And so one of the reasons one of Blessed Jordan of Saxony speaks about that, about this summoning of really bringing the body of Dominic from a more hidden place to a more public tomb and veneration, was to exalt Dominic as a model of holiness and to imitate his virtues, you could say. And that's why the church holds up these men and women who are exemplars of the ordinary Christian life. It's not necessarily something super extraordinary. It's what every Christian is meant to be, a saint in their own way. Most saints in the church, we will never find out about them. They will know about them in heaven, please God. They'll never make to the official canonizations. And I think that we will really see in the future, when we go to heaven, be quite surprised at probably saints that are incredible, greater than some of the canonized saints that we see, but perhaps by their hiddenness, where they just go unpassed in the world. And really, St. Edith Stein said that it's those saints, those hidden saints, they're the ones who determine history, who are swinging the doors of history in many ways, who are from their good works are contributing to so much of the amazing things that have took place in history, counteracting a lot of the evil done by other, fallen brothers and sisters. And so these saints, these hidden lights in the life of the church, we could never underestimate. And right now, the media wants us to just focus on the negative, and we have to be very careful that we're not heralds of bad news. We have to be sober. We have to understand the political, cultural challenges and situations, understand the challenges of society. However, to fail to see the good at work in our life and around us is a huge temptation from Satan, because he is the herald of bad news. That's his gospel. That's his evangelization, you could say, is to get us to be negative, get us to be super critical of each other, get us to be, complaining and moaning, and to see just the evil in the other person. That's his task. That's what he sees. But the Lord, the saints, look beyond even the failures of others to see God, to see the mystery of God at work in our life, in and around us, in incredible ways. And sometimes, yes, we are confounded. We don't understand maybe what God is doing sometimes through really terrible situations that are the result of our own sinfulness and our abuse of our freedom, but on ourselves and against each other. However, God is at work, and we know, and you can look back, and people always look back and they could see the wisdom sometimes of God in situations. And sometimes we have to wait for heaven to see what that was about. And ultimately, because our lives are principally not only about us, they're about Christ, they're about God and about each other. And so God may be doing something in our life, and it's not necessarily for us. He might be teaching us and stuff, but it might be for some other person. And so we must remember this. And I think the lives of the saints, St. Dominic, when we come back to the whole image of St. Dominic, you know, he was he was the preacher of the good news, that God is alive, grace is alive, and that even in our frail, afflicted bodies, in our lives, that affliction, there's this real seed of grace unfolding in our life, that he wanted to affirm the goodness of creation, for example, in a time where it was really questioned by many fallen away Christians. So let us preach the good news.